Now, coincidence or perfect timing, call it as you may, but the status of the Adani deals was the biggest take-home from President William Ruto's State of the Nation address in Parliament today. Now, the Adani deals with Kenya are tonight cancelled, inasmuch as that is the position the government has taken on the Indian firm, whose executives now have a bribery case to answer with the American authorities. Kenyans will still have a myriad concerns regarding more pressing issues, which the President attempted to address before Parliament today. Now, the State of the Nation Address 2024 was a blend of fresh appeals to Kenyans and repeated yet unclear explanations to government's plans and decisions. My name is Brian Amwai and this is K24 Evening Edition. Remember, you can be part of the program by engaging us on our socials. That is at Amwai Brian on X, at K24 TV. The hashtag we are using tonight is K24 Evening Edition. We are live across social media platforms. We'll be sampling your feedback as we continue with the program tonight. But first, top stories tonight. Tonight, from New York City to Nairobi, Adani deals are now undone.
Because of the information that has been provided to us by partner nations, I have directed agencies within the Ministry of Transport and the Ministry of Energy and Petroleum to immediately cancel the ongoing procurement process for JKI expansion public-private partnership transaction, as well as the recently concluded Ketraco.
Kenya pulls out of Adani deals with JKIA and Ketraco. US authorities bring bribery charges against Indian farm bosses. Acknowledging police involvement.
There is no attempt to justify or excuse illegal arrests. Such would be a serious threat to the life and liberty of citizens.
The President's explanation to recent spate of killings and enforced disappearances. Also in the State of the Nation address.
Hakuna kitu naweza ona change. Hata ni kumeharibika zaidi kuliko venye kulikuwa wakati wa wenye walitoka.
Sisi hatutaki mambo ya kugojea. Tunataka mambo ya kuambiwa na kufanywa.
The President tells Kenyans to be patient as he defends his economic track record. Plus,
I have undertaken this fight against corruption is one I now take on with resolve going forward.
The President appeals to other arms of government as he explains his most deliberate plans yet to crush the vice. All right, now let's begin. President William Ruto has cancelled all the deals related to Adani Holdings on the grounds of new information availed to him by partner nations. Now, this comes hours after Energy CS Opiyo Wandayi reiterated that the government will continue its dealings with the company despite the company's indictment in the multi-billion corruption fraud in the United States. Martin Opiyo begins our bulletin tonight.
Based on new information provided by investigative agencies and partner nations, that the procuring agencies within the Ministry of Transport and the Ministry of Energy and Petroleum immediately cancel the ongoing procurement process for the JKIA expansion public-private partnership transaction.
It is an announcement that sent legislators into a celebratory mood, if not the nation as a whole, following President Ruto's declaration that he had cancelled all deals involving the Adani company.
Very important.
President Ruto said the decision was attributed to credible evidence from relevant agencies.
Immediately commence the process of onboarding alternative partners because these are important projects. Honorable members, the work of taking our nation forward is our collective responsibility as citizens. For this reason, we value the contribution of all, whether they come in the form of support or encouragement, suggestion or proposal, criticism or protest. I believe that the most powerful component of leadership is listening and learning.
Adani had shown the intent to renovate and manage the Jomo Kenyatta International Airport JKIA for 30 years, a plan that was opposed by Kenyans.
I listened too to religious leaders, the civil society, industrialists, entrepreneurs and professionals. Their contributions and everyone else's have my full attention and commitment to respond through positive, affirmative action that takes the national transformation endeavor forward. I commit to continue listening and acting, to engage, debate, deliberate with you, and to take your input into consideration in serving our nation.
Already another agreement worth 95 billion shillings had been signed between K24 and the Ministry of Energy. President Ruto has also slammed brakes on the deal.
Because of the information that has been provided to us by partner nations, I have directed agencies within the Ministry of Transport and the Ministry of Energy and Petroleum to immediately cancel the ongoing procurement process for JKI expansion public-private partnership transaction, as well as the recently concluded K24 transmission in public.
The president made the announcement hours after Energy and Petroleum Cabinet Secretary Opiyo Wandayi said the deals with Adani will proceed, citing diligence done before the signing.
We had no knowledge of any other adverse matters that could have come to light, maybe now or some months or weeks earlier. And therefore, we are proceeding on the basis of the outcome of the very rigorous due diligence exercise that was undertaken by the contracting authority in line with the law.
Appearing before the Parliamentary Energy Committee over the controversial K24 Adani deal, CS Wandayi noted that the government conducted 2 phases of due diligence exercise on Adani, including a documentary review process where the company demonstrated technical, legal and financial capacity for the construction of electricity transmission lines and substations.
The proponent, that is Adani Energy Solutions, also provided documents demonstrating their legal standing, compliance to laws and regulations, including tax compliance in their country of origin, which is India. At the end of the day, after those 2 phases of due diligence, the contracting authority, that is K24, was of the view that the proponent passed the test.
On October 25th, the High Court in Nairobi granted preservatory orders to stop implementation of the plan and prevent Adani from entering into any new agreements or continuing any existing contracts.
It had been a thorn in the flesh, and people have castigated doubt as to whether the Adani way would ever work and improve Kenya. But I'm happy that the president has turned his mind, has changed his mind, and therefore Adani has been dropped. And the issue of Adani is no more.
The government had not committed itself in terms of contracts. It was still at negotiation level, and therefore at that particular level I do not see any kind of issues with it, because there weren't commitments that had been put to pen and paper. And therefore, cancelling the Adani deal, I think the Kenya government comes out clean, because there were no commitments, there were no contracts that had been signed yet. It was still part of the negotiation.
After Adani officials were indicted in the US, Adani's capacity to raise resources was compromised, and I don't think they were able to do any project anywhere, whether in Kenya or outside Kenya. I think that is really the problem, which we need to understand. As to whether Adani has capacity to deliver, I think that one we are all agreeable that they have capacity to deliver, but they also need to raise resources. So I think the US indictment was the blow that has hit Adani in Kenya and everywhere else.
I like the way he has dealt with the Adani case, because it is a case that has brought a lot of anxiety with our people because of lack of transparency, and he has clearly said that he has gotten information to warrant to cancel it. For that reason, we are very happy as people because we had raised several issues on it.
It's a good turnaround. You know, any politician should listen to the people, and clearly the president is a listening president, and he has decided to listen to the people of Kenya and done the necessary.
Martin Opio, K24 TV, Nairobi.
Now, Treasury Cabinet Secretary John Mbadi has reassured Kenyans that no taxpayer money will be lost in compensating Adani following President William Ruto's cancellation of the JKIA takeover and energy deals. Now, this comes amid growing concerns that there could be serious ramifications from cancelling such deals, potentially leading to litigation that could cost Kenya billions of shillings. Now, as Joel Chacha reports, a divided opinion is emerging on whether the cancellation was driven by public pressure or influenced by partner states.
By President William Ruto to cancel 2 Adani deals, one involving the JKIA takeover and the other in the energy sector, has sparked fears that Kenya may face monetary repercussions.
For me, it is an embarrassment of monumental proportions. In fact, all those who participated in the signing of a Adani deal, action should be taken upon them because they were involved from the beginning. So that means the government was never advised by those who are responsible in the ministry to advise on the legality of this particular deal. Finally, there will be consequences because this is a contract that has been signed. There is a breach of contract. So there will be consequences that will follow the cancellation of that particular contract.
However, Treasury Cabinet Secretary John Mbadi has denied claims that Kenya will have to pay compensation as a result of backing out of the agreement with Adani.
Even that one which is signed can be negotiated and can still be cancelled because the moment you give the contract, I don't see any possibility of losing any money. Compensating them for what? For doing what? Because the only thing is the amount they paid, which would be refunded. Yeah? Because it is not a mutual termination. There is no, in PIP, there is no much expenses that are involved. So what would you compensate them for? So I don't see any problem. PIP is the most flexible method of procurement.
But was this cancellation driven by public opinion or pressure from the United States, which had previously indicted Adani?
Listen to the citizens, stakeholders, that can cancel the Adani controversial.
Is it citizens or partner states?
No, citizens. It's the citizens.
Information from their partners, especially international partners, and this makes me feel very sad that a deal that every one of us felt and knew that is a fake deal, is not a deal that is for the best interest of the people of Kenya. The president has to wait until the Adani people are inducted in other countries. They have not even done due diligence on these deals. It makes me wonder how many others would be wrong that will have to call for the cancellation.
Nevertheless, leaders from both the minority and majority sides of the political divide have praised the head of state for his move.
So happy to know that the president has heeded to our call as parliamentarians, because we also saw that the process, it is not the issue, it is not actually the person or the company, but the process of procurement of these services was not done in accordance with the procedures and the law.
When they expressed their views on those hashtags, it means something for this administration. That is, to me, the greatest take home today, and I'm happy that now we have an open governance, we have a government that is listening to the public, and we have now decisive leadership that's saying when this happens, we make a decision and we move forward.
About Adani has been a crucial issue and a thorn in the flesh. Questions about accountability, questions about public participation, and questions about good governance. So I think it is a good thing that not only that one, but also the procurement issues about K24.
Joel Chacha, K24 TV, Nairobi.
Now, Indian billionaire businessman and chairperson of the Indian conglomerate Adani Group has been indicted by prosecutors in the United States on charges that he duped investors. Now, according to the charges, the Adani Group executives cancelled that the company's huge solar energy project on the subcontinent was being facilitated by an alleged bribery scheme amounting to millions of dollars. Now, the latest development leaves egg on the faces of top government officials, among them President William Ruto, who, before announcing the cancellation of their deals, had earlier on vouched for the Indian firm. Ian Ketani now reports.
Billionaire Gautam Adani, the chairperson of Indian conglomerate Adani Group, and other executives were indicted in New York on Wednesday by U.S. prosecutors for their alleged roles in years-long multi-billion-dollar bribery and fraud scheme involving plans to develop a major solar power plant. According to the United States Department of Justice, Adani, a key ally of Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi, and 7 other executives, including his nephew Sagar Adani, promised more than $250 million in bribes to Indian government officials to secure solar energy contracts expected to yield $2 billion in profits. Authorities say Adani personally met with an Indian government official to advance the scheme, which took place between 2020 and 2024. The defendants frequently met and allegedly discussed the bribe scheme, including evidence on several phones. According to a media statement signed by the firm's spokesperson, the Adani Group will seek all possible legal recourse to deal with the issue. The group says it has always upheld and is committed to maintaining the highest standards of governance, transparency, and regulatory compliance across all jurisdictions. The statement goes ahead to reassure Adani Group stakeholders, partners, and employees. The Indian conglomerate runs various subsidiaries, including Adani Airport Holdings, Adani Energy Solutions, Adani Green Energy, Adani Ports, and Adani Power. The Indian firm is also accused of various issues across the globe, top among them corruption, tax evasion, stock price manipulation, and extensive accounting fraud. The impact of the allegations, which resurfaced more than a year after U.S. short seller Edinburgh accused the Adani Group of stock manipulation and accounting fraud, was swiftly felt across the conglomerate. On Thursday, shares in the group's publicly listed companies dropped between 10 and 20%. The news of the businessman being indicted has been received by jubilation by thousands of Kenyans on social media, who for many months now called for the cancellation of the Adani deals in the country, citing opaqueness and claims of corruption. Despite public outcry from Kenyans, state officials led by President William Ruto did not heed to the calls. Before cancelling the deal in his State of the Nation address today, President Ruto had earlier on expressed confidence in the Indian firm in helping the country achieve its goal of wiring national electric power grid without burdening Kenyans. His sentiments were echoed by Raila Odinga and several cabinet secretaries.
Adani Group are investing in the transmission line. Their money, 95 billion. We would have otherwise gone to borrow that money, burden the people of Kenya. We will pay for that transmission line using a wheeling charge that has been negotiated. And it is important for us as a nation to appreciate that a partnership between public and the private sector gives us a win-win outcome.
This is a reputable company, in my knowledge. This company actually has done very many PPP projects. We visited a project that was done through a PPP by Adani in a place called Mundra. This was a marsh land next to the sea, 5,000 hectares of land, which was granted to the Adanis by the government of Mr. Modi. They drained the swamp and constructed a deep sea port.
Ian Ketani, K24 TV, Nairobi.
All right, that story by Ian Ketani takes us to our first break here on the program. We're still with our coverage here on the State of the Nation. When we come back, we take a break. We will be back in a few.